Hi everybody, it's Miss Ladybug. So I am going to give just a synopsis of the year 2016 for my new followers on YouTube and for the new people on Ms. Ladybug page. And for those of you who are interested in wanting to catch up. So anyway, I brought in the new year with a number of people from my community in Williams, Southern Oregon, Applegate, including my ex-boyfriend Walt, and we threw the party at his and his brother's property where I lived. I moved there at his request and urgings in November. As you may know, I've previously had a number of moves in my trailer and had another one coming. And I told him I did not want to, I was going to just sell it and try to get a motorhome or something. And he said that I could live on his property for as long as he owned it. And I wouldn't have to worry about anything. And I could just do what I could do, the best that I could do. So I took that offer and I moved there in November and started trying to help clean some things out because his mother had passed away and nothing really had been changed since the father had died 8 years prior to that. So anyway, he came for the holiday season and we spent time with my family and then at his property, his and his brother's property, and we threw this big New Year's Eve party, and there were a number of guests there, including a family who I had become friends with, and they were in need of a place to move. And in that area, housing is very, very, very scarce. And the man that I was involved with and I talked about it and decided to rent to her, which meant she had to be out. She had told me she had to be out February 1st, but she actually had rent paid till February 15th. But for all intensive purposes, what I was told was I had to be ready for move-in because they had to move in no later than the 1st of February. So I started right after New Year's, and I'd already done a few things beforehand, but this was a 2,500 square foot home, including the full-sized attic that was completely full, and these people were hoarders. The parents were kind of hoarders. There were things that, if you were following, and I will be making a year of 2016 video of photos, and so you will be able to see it on there, but there was a lot of stuff, and there was a shop that was about the size of 2 garages, as well as a garage, a one-car garage, was full of boxes that had never been dealt with since the parents moved there 28 years ago. And the people who were going to be renting wanted to use that to store stuff, and so we humped everything out of there into the last bay, which was an open bay of this great big long shop area, and ended up having the rain destroy it all a week later. That was kind of a drag. After New Year's, I started by emptying out, like, medicine cabinets and this and that. And the brother had been living there. My ex-boyfriend's brother had been living there, and he's a co-owner of the property. And he was not providing any income to the property during the years that he was with his parents. And so my ex, he didn't want to have to deal with his brother because there was issues there, because his brother has some challenges. Go figure why I got the boot. Doesn't like dealing with challenges. People that aren't just, all hunky-dory. I don't know. Anyway, I had to help him find a place, and he procrastinated and dug his heels. The brother did. And it was very challenging and emotional because I didn't want to hurt his feelings. I didn't want to hurt anybody's feelings. But I also knew that him just sitting on that property was a real waste of a resource. And when he lived a small life, like I live a small life, there's no shame in that. But he pretty much was, made himself a sandwich and sat in front of the TV and took a shower and went to bed. You don't need a 2,200 square foot home that you can't pay to heat and insure and have television. If you can't work enough to maintain that, you have to live small. And so I found him a nice, cute cabin right on the Rogue River. I mean, it's pretty primo. He had a beautiful deck where he could sit right there and right on the river. And I helped him pack, and I also ended up pretty much by myself cleaning and sorting through that entire house to get ready for a great big sale. So in January, that's what I did. I cleaned the house. I got ready for a sale that happened the last weekend in January. And then right after that, my daughter was having troubles and had to have surgery. And so I had to make a 2-day trip, which is really hard on me to do a turnaround like I did, to be with her at her request. And then I had the sale, and then I finished cleaning the house, and they were moving in on the 31st of January. And there were a few things shortly after. There was no lease until actually February 8th. Between the 1st and the 8th, there was a couple issues that happened. One was when I was on my trip to my daughter's, she made arrangements with the freebie metal man guy in the area to come get a bunch of our stuff, the trash, and she told him I would pay to haul trash. Well, there's so much stuff around there, she wasn't in a position. That wasn't for her to say. So that was what the first thing that happened was she made this arrangement while I was gone. And I was like, whoa, okay. So I kind of evaluated everything, and I was like, I'll pay for this and let's just get it done. And I told everybody what I wanted. And then I had to go somewhere, and I came back, and he had taken very valuable things. And I kind of lost it because I'd been busting my ass for over a month, and I made it very clear what was supposed to be going on, and no one else there cared. I cared. I was trying to do the next right thing every single move I made because I cared about the people that this was involving. And I also am an ethical person. So anyway, that was the first problem. So then she also we were going to share the cost of Wi-Fi. But when they came to install it, she She didn't consult with anybody. She didn't consult with the property owner, the property manager. She just had it put where she wanted, even though the property was paying for half the bill. And she put it to where no one else could use it. I couldn't use it. It couldn't be used outside. And so that was another problem, because she wouldn't really do anything because, A, she already had internet. It's no big skin off her nose. But I didn't have it, and I made phone calls to the internet provider and said as much, and that I was not happy, and, and she somehow got the impression that I impersonated her, which we don't sound the same at all. We don't deal with things the same at all. So that was just kind of weird, and that caused some problems. So here we're going into February, the middle of February. It's the 8th, and finally, the property owner, my ex-boyfriend, had finally got a contract together and got it to me, and I sat down with the tenant, who's already all moved in, who came under the auspices of being with the person who was paying the rent, this man that she had been involved with, that he was going to also be renting the property down below for medical marijuana grow. We all shook hands on this, everybody. So then we're signing the lease, and after she signs, literally, this, I'm not making this up. She signs and she goes, oh, by the way, Jay isn't going to grow here because you're charging too much. And I'm just like, the whole deal was, it was a give and take. I killed myself to get this chick moved in with her family and her grandkids and everybody. I killed myself to get the brother moved out. I just, I was trying to help people right and left, as well as trying to make money for my ex so that he could come be with me. And this is how I'm getting treated. And when I called him, he's like, okay, well, I guess we'll have to find another grower. Well, that meant I had to find another grower, because he didn't know anyone in that area that was involved with that. I did. So, plus, the rent payer, I guess that's what you would call the person who was paying the rent, was supposed to be bringing minions. This is the gal that rented the property. That was her terminology. But Mr. J was to bring his minions, and so it was going to be our year for the ladies, because we weren't going to have to work our, break our backs killing ourselves, because there's going to be guys to help. No, there's no help. There's not any help. In fact, so we kept moving along. Probably I think it was the end of February, there was a problem with some plumbing. And, plumbing's pretty, for someone who knows that, you've got a male and a female end, and water travels a certain way, and that tape, that white tape that seals everything so you don't have drips, it's not a big deal unless you're, digging way down below. And there was a problem with the sink dripping and underneath the sink. Well, I got under there and looked and saw it, and so I had gone and got parts, and I was doing some other things earlier in the day that weren't going well, because nothing went well. Nothing on that property had been maintained ever for years and years. Everything was broken down and falling apart. And I think that day I'd been trying to run the wood splitter, which, you have to do it a certain way, just like everything on that property. You had to jimmy rig everything, or you had to, manipulate things, and you had to do all these weird things because everything had been changed according to Mr. L's ideologies. So anyway, So I was trying to fix the plumbing, and I go over. It's like 3 o'clock in the afternoon. I already have my parts. I got them the day before. I went in and said, hey, I'm going to fix it. And this is my friend, mind you. This is my friend. And I go in. I said, I'm going to work on this. And there was some tension there. There had been a problem with me drying clothes in the dryer, which was we discussed this before, and I'd done laundry at her house before, but I had one day some stuff that had a bunch of dog hair, and her and the family just had a freaking conniption fit. So there was this great big huge to-do over that. And then I'm working on the plumbing, and she's literally like right there, right there. While I'm trying to, I'm trying to work it out. I'm not a plumber. It's not like I just can go in and just do it. I have to evaluate it. She's like, you don't know what you're doing, do you? And I'm like, yes, it's plumbing. I can figure it out. I've got the parts already. But please don't just stand there and, evaluate me. So she goes to stand just on the other side of the kitchen with her arms crossed watching me. Well, that's just really intimidating, and that's really uncomfortable. And so anyway, I'm working on it. And because of the way Mr. L, the father, had jimmy rigged this and done some changes, nothing fit. So I had to go to the parts store, and I came back and I'm working on it some more, and it's not working because by this time the other sink has a leak because it was a double sink thing. And so I said to her, I said, gosh, nothing is, done correctly here. And I've already been to the parts store twice now, and it's 6:15, so the close one, we lived 30 miles away from the main town. And I said, the Ace Hardware, which was only like 15 miles away, was closed. And I said, how about I have some errands in town tomorrow, or I'll just finish this tomorrow. And she just threw a flippin' fit. You've already made it so I can't make dinner, and I have to buy dinner for everybody, and and we pay rent. And I'm just like, holy crap, you've got a sink in the bathroom, you've got running water, you're not going without water. And she goes, you're working way above your pay scale. I'm just like, I'm not even getting paid. I didn't get paid when I worked there. The whole time I worked there, I did not get paid. So, yeah. It was just wild. So that was the first time that I lodged a complaint with the property owner, my ex-boyfriend, and said, we need to have a conversation about this because, when they all moved in, I don't do drama. I don't do rudeness. I don't do manipulation. I have worked a program for years of honesty, a program of honesty, openness, and willingness. And I wasn't used to dealing with this. And anyway, I had known this woman, unfortunately, had a side to her mental health that she did occasionally treat people badly. I'd seen it, but I didn't ever think she'd pull it on me. And she did multiple times. Actually, at least once every month. There was that instance. There was the washing machine instance. There was the rent payer guy. And his RV and partying in the parking lot right outside my trailer. That was a big problem because she's like, well, he pays the rent. I can't tell him no. And I'm like, I'll tell him no. You can't bring your RV up here and you can't party. We have a bad driveway and you kept me awake, with your engine running and partying. Let's see, what else happened? That was March, April. What happened in April? I don't even remember. I'm tired. Anyway, I just went on. And I kept telling the property owner. And he was like, oh, I'm not going to let you be treated like that. I can show you emails and texts. Oh, it's my property. She doesn't get to do that. but it went on. And then I had this whole humongous, besides cleaning up this property, this garage shop, the storage unit, keeping the grounds up, keeping the fields mowed. On top of that, I'm interviewing for a, $100,000+ project of a medical marijuana grow. And I have nothing to work with. I'm supposed to have, this was what he had told me I would have to work with, was he was going to put $500 a month into an account for me that I could have access to, as well as I got about $200 from the rent monies after paying his brother, because he was using the rent money to try to pay his brother off so he doesn't have to take care of his brother. Well, he doesn't have to take care of his brother. His brother owns half that property. So he, that's all up here that he has to take care of him, because he's not taking care of him. He hasn't done anything. So anyway, in the interim, I went to visit my boyfriend in Chicago, ended up getting the flu, ended up in the hospital, and then went home and had the tractor incident where I pulled a whole bunch of muscles in my rib cage from losing control of the tractor going down the hill. And then I'm interviewing potential growers. And I interviewed, I would say, at least 15, maybe up to 20 different growers. And some of them had multiple appointments. At least spent 1 hour with each appointment, wined and dined a couple of them on my own dime, as well as I was going to all kinds of the Oregon Sun Growers Guild meetings and the Women Grow meetings to broaden my knowledge base and my connection base for our business. So the last straw, I think, with the tenant was in May. There was 2 situations. One, there was a situation with the rent payer guy pulling his RV up there when he wasn't supposed to, and her having all kinds of excuses, and it was my fault. I'm not quite sure how it was my fault, but whatever. Then also my ex-boyfriend came and surprised me and showed up for my birthday, because we'd had not the visit he had hoped for. And he said straight up, I'm here for selfish reasons. And he was. He wanted what he wanted. And he hadn't had it very much because I was too sick when I was there in March and April. So he wanted his fun stuff. It's fact. Not lying. He also was going to meet with some potential growers, some people he was going to actually sell the property to, and who I knew vaguely, maybe as much as he did. And I talked with them, and it seemed okay, but I kept saying, we need a contract, and they seemed to be in agreement, and we made our discussions and our agreements, and anyway, when he came to visit for my birthday, they changed the whole agreement, and nobody told me. And he did tell the tenants, the household tenants, my friend, who's no longer my friend, that they had to move, but he didn't give them written notice. He just said, you need to move sometime by August, something, the end of August. So here I'm still having to deal with these people. And then the growers come in and they completely take over, and they took my plants, they took my holes for my plants, and said that I'm nobody but just, a patient there. And I was like, that wasn't our agreement. So I already had my plants. I had planted my own plants. I grew from seed. And I have photos to show that. And I the plan was that I was going to grow the 4 recreational and the 6 of my card. And I had my card in my name as me being the grower. But they changed it all. And it was about then was when I was coming off the opiates for a month, and yeah. So I was dealing with withdrawals, even though I wasn't feeling bad. I wasn't feeling sick, but I still was in withdrawals. I mean, your head takes some time to heal. You don't deal with stressors very well when you're going through withdrawals. And I was alone there, and I just started getting more and more feelings of an attitude when I would ask for direction from the property owner, my ex-boyfriend, that he really didn't want to deal with me. So between what the growers were saying, and the people living in the house treating me badly and such negative vibes, and losing my ability to grow my own medicine and make an income for myself, because that was supposed to be my income for the whole year. I did not earn a wage there. I took out $900, which I had put in $897, and I can show that. I had a few other withdrawals, but less than $1,000 for 8 months of what I took care of that property. So, man, I just got bowled over. I feel like such a sucker. I really do. I feel like a sucker. I feel like I just got sucker punched. Anyway, I guess better now than further down the road when it might hurt even worse. I don't know that it could, because, you know, going through withdrawals like I have been, this has all this emotional, heartfelt feelings have made this all a lot harder. Anyway, I've got my heart zipped up tight, and I'm not letting anybody in anymore. This made me lose a lot of faith in mankind. I just, it has left a sour taste in my mouth for trusting someone with the energy and my power, because for as many struggles as I have, I can say with unabashed pride, that man has never had anyone work for him so hard and so selflessly. And he has lost a partner that would have laid down her life for him. So their loss makes me sad, and it's going to take a while to get over being treated the way I was, but it is their loss, and I'll just move along and be alone, and I don't have a problem being alone. I like being alone by myself. Anyway, that's the first part. I'll keep going, but that's all I can do for now. So, peace.